from a lady who said words changed her life. She said she was born with a cleft palate, and she always felt bad about how she looked, how her mouth was deformed. And she said as a little girl, they'd make fun of her at school. They'd point at her and say, look at her face, how she talked. She said it broke her heart. And it was so sad. She said, until one day in school, in the elementary school, they were having tests for hearing. Some of us remember when they would come into the classroom and they would test the hearing, and they would do it one student at a time, and the students would line up to get a little hearing test to make sure they could hear enough to what the teacher was saying. And she said for some reason she was at the last of the line, and each student would come up and the teacher would say, when I whisper in your ear real soft, I want you to repeat what I say so I can know that you can hear. And so all the kids went through the line, and they would, they'd count 1, 2, 3, and the little child would say 1, 2, 3. And then finally, after all the kids were done, they were all in their seats, in their desks. All that was left in front of the classroom was the school teacher and the little girl with the deformed cleft palate. She whispered in the little girl's ear these words. If I had a little girl, I'd want her to be just like you. I'd want her to be my little girl. The little girl couldn't believe what the teacher had said. And the little girl repeated it out loud in front of all the kids. I would want a little girl just like you. And when all the students heard those words that the teacher said, all of the kids changed their opinion of that little girl. And they all thought, well, if the teacher thinks she's important and she's special, and she would even want to have a little girl like her, everybody wanted to hang with that little girl. You see what happened? That school teacher spoke words of favor over that little girl's life, and it changed her life. So how many know that your words can change somebody's life? What does the Bible say today about words? James chapter 3, verse number 2, it says, we all stumble in many ways. Anyone who is never at fault in what they say is perfect, able to keep their whole body in check, because the tongue is also a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body. Verse 6 says, the tongue sets the whole course of one's life on fire and is itself set on fire by hell. So, who is wise and understanding among you? Let them show it by their good life, by deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom. And then finally, verse 13, when it's combined with verse 6, note the top of it, it says, the whole course of one's life is affected by the tongue. And it says, if we are a person of understanding and wisdom, it will be shown. Let them show it by the words that they say. In this message today, I want to share at least 3 principles, beginning with principle number 1. Why must I watch my words? And today, I hope these scriptures encourage us. Why must I watch my words? Well, letter A, my words direct where I go. It's quite a powerful thought, isn't it? That my words, what I say, can set the direction of where my life is headed next. That means that I can talk in such a negative way that it can affect the outcome of the rest of my life. People speak words like, I can't take it anymore. I'll never get through this. I guess the rest of my life is basically ruined. And when we say those things, it begins to put us in a negative direction. But when we begin to say, I'm coming through this, if God got me through other things, God will get me through this season in my life. I know that everything, it happens for a reason. It's just for a season. I'm headed to something greater in my life. James chapter 3, verse 3. It says, we put bits into the mouths of horses to make them obey us, and we can turn that whole animal while we ride that horse. Or take ships